So you think that you have left an MLM commercial cult and you're good. You've got it figured out. You're going to listen to various cult experts or people specializing in cultism to help, you heal. But what you have to watch out for is that the same things that happen to so many of us in multi-level marketing happen outside in the real world. And it can happen with so-called or self-styled cult experts or people that specialize in cultism, whatever that means. So somebody tipped me off to this, and this is really disturbing. And I've found like this minefield navigating my way back to reality after leaving multi-level marketing and trying to figure out who to listen to, because people still are people. People are going to be like, people are going to be selfish. They're going to make like mistakes. We're going to be selfish. We're going to make mistakes. But you think when you leave multi-level marketing and that you have people that have escaped cults and like style themselves as an expert on this without maybe saying they're an expert and they have really no credentials, which we're going to see with this one individual that I'm going to introduce you to. You think that there should be safety, but you're still getting taken advantage of. And this is really alarming to me. So we need to, learn the red flags, like behavior, information, thought, emotional control, and apply that critical thinking even to so-called experts. Because just because someone says they're an expert, it doesn't mean that they have your best interests at heart. We have to start listening to our instincts and to apply critical thinking to even like outside of this. It's not everybody's your friend, everybody knows. And you're going to see in this interview that somebody had tipped me off to. So this guy is named Ian Howarth. I apologize if I am saying the name incorrectly. And this was an interview done 2 years ago. So this is recent, and it's done by a fellow YouTube creator. And I didn't watch the entire interview. I just watched the portion where the interviewer asks this guy about MLMs or MLMs cults. So this isn't a comment on the YouTube creator or the interviewing or anything like that. This is just focusing on this guy's response. Because a lot of people, if you haven't been in multi-level marketing, people are starting to become more aware of how these are commercial cults, how they are fraud, how they are pyramid schemes. But when you have like, if you haven't had somebody involved in it or you haven't been involved in it yourself, you can think it's like, well, it's kind of culty. You don't really know the depth, how far these things go and how many people have been abused and exploited. So when people don't know, they don't know. I didn't know a lot of things too. So I want to preface it with that. This is solely commentary on this person who is running an organization or that is supposed to help people escaping cults, and he's a cult apologist. He makes excuses for multi-level marketing in the most insidious way. And this is a trigger warning. If you have left a multi-level marketing company and you're starting to take in anti-MLM content, you're starting to unpack what you've been part of, this is going to be triggering. Hearing this man make excuses in the same way that was done to us when we were within multi-level marketing. You're going to see him be vague. He's not going to mention any company names. He's going to say that there are good ones and there are bad ones out there. He didn't see anything wrong. Therefore, this one company that he was consulted, he was paid for to say, are we a cult? They paid him some money. He came to, no, you're not a cult. It's triggering. And it's important to show this because this is not okay. And the fact that this is still going on 2 years ago from a supposed person that is supposed to be helping people leaving cults, there is no excuse for this. Dude, you need to do better. And as more and more of us wake up, this behavior will be called out. Okay. So now that I've like ranted and raved for a bit here, let's get on with this. So let me pull this up. All right. So here is the interview. And this is by a fellow YouTube creator, Aaron Hunley. And this is the title of this video is called Ian Howarth Escaped a Cult to Help Others Free Their Minds with the Cult Information Center. So that's what he is running out. I'm just going to read this, what he's written up here. Ian is the General Secretary and main representative for the Cult Information Center. This is what I find so alarming, is that somebody who is a representative of a cult information center, that's the name of this, makes apologies and excuses for multi-level marketing in the same way that we've seen when we were all in. It's messed up. I'm still rattled from watching this part. He is responsible to the trustees. Ian has worked full-time as a specialist in cultism since 1979. This is a red flag to me. Now, on the outside of this, what does that mean and what are his credentials? What education does he have, this Ian guy? Since 1979. That's funny because that was when the Amway went up against the FTC. I wonder if he was contracted by Amway. Initially, he worked in Canada before returning to Britain in 1987 when he helped to start CIC. See, what is his background? How can he be a specialist in cultism? We're fill in the blanks. What does it mean exactly? This stuff you can get away with when you're in a cult. Outside of this, now we've got our thinking hats on now. This isn't good enough. Why are you a specialist in cultism? Because you left a cult? You don't know the difference between cults and multi-level marketing. You clearly haven't learned that lesson yet. Since 1979, he's an ex-cult member, so he learned about cults the hard way. Yeah, so have I. He has handled over 20,000 inquiries and delivered over 1,200 talks on the topic. Look at any social media activist. I have over 200,000 followers on TikTok. You look at other people, Roberta Blevins, Always Marco, Aaron Bees, Julie Joe, Savannah Marie. So many other creators have thousands of people, conversations going on about this. So this statistic, this is suspect to me. This is the kind of thing that goes on in multi-level marketing where you need to have the numbers in order to give you credibility and legitimacy. There's a line where you can say, this person was in 17 movies and they did this, but then there's this kind of behavior. And I find it suspicious, especially in the light of what he says about multi-level marketing. He has acted as a consultant to police, social agencies, educational and religious institutions, as well as being called an expert witness in cult-related trials. So he is calling himself a cult expert then, by implication, innuendo, whatever. So here we go. This is disturbing. Trigger warning again. It's messed up. Let's watch this.
While we're on that,
I hope you can hear this. I got to turn up the volume here. All right. Okay. Let's do this.
There's another type of cult. I think of it as at least culty.
It's a cult. You are right. You are absolutely right. It's culty. It's cultish. It's a cult. They are cults. Multi-level marketing companies, there are commercial cults.
And that's MLMs, or multi-level marketing. I don't know if you've dealt with that at all, but there are some very distinct behaviors with these groups that have pyramid schemes and all that I feel resemble or at least rhyme with cults. What is that saying? History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. People will go to a seminar over a weekend. All of a sudden, they're trying to get money from every relative. They start to lose family relations, things like that.
He's spot on.
Well,
now here we go.
I was asked by 2 MLMs to try and help them and act as a consultant to show them where they were going wrong, if they were going wrong.
Can you imagine Stephen Hassan getting hired by Mon8 and Prove It? Can you just imagine this? Because no cult expert in their right mind would do this. This guy is not a cult expert. He's a cult apologist. This is horrifying to me that he actually went out, was paid by 2 MLMs. Well, are we being culty? Just wait, it gets better.
And one in particular had very clearly got some problems. And the problems seem to emanate from one particular network.
It was just one team within the multi-level marketing company. It was just one person. It was just a bad apple. It doesn't represent our company. We're not culty at all. It was just one part of this. I wonder how his investigation went. I wonder how detailed his investigation went, or if it just entailed with him sitting down with the CEO and the president and the vice president, and they had some drinks. They had a nice lunch. And he's like, looks good to me. I wonder how many survivors he talked to. Did he attend at a large group awareness training? What exactly did he do in order to come up with this idea that it's just one network within this one multi-level marketing company, which he doesn't name? Again, the secrecy that happens that we're taught in multi-level marketing. Don't say the name.
Representing that organization as opposed to a whole host of other networks. And so I tried to help them to sort out the problems with that particular network, and they attempted to do that. And I got involved in it.
Can you get any more vague? Called as a cult expert? Are you kidding me?
Because another colleague in the field knew that I had quite a bit of knowledge about that particular group from my time in Canada, because it's
And what group is that? Is it Amway? Why aren't you saying the name of the group? Why the vagueness? You can't get away with this stuff now, dude. No, this is not okay. You're going to fashion yourself as a cult expert. You're going to have a link on a site that other people are linking to saying it's Cult Information Center, and you're pulling this crap? No way.
an international group, but I'd come across it in Canada. And he'd been to their head office and he said, they're going to listen to us. I said, no, they're not. He said, yes, they are. And persuaded me finally to go along, and they did listen. And so I acted as a consultant.
Oh, wow. Same way I was listened to within Mon8 and also Rank Makers, and then all these other whistleblowers from all different multi-level marketing companies. They're really listened to. It's so amazing. What does that mean, listen to? They smiled and nodded and said, we are so happy and grateful that you were here. What exactly transpired? They listened. They always listen. What did they do?
For them to show them why they were being criticized and why they were sometimes being compared with cults.
Like this guy is dangerous. I don't know what his agenda is, but this is incredibly alarming to me. The way he talks like it's this famed surprise. This is quite surprising to me. There are some things that you're doing that you could be a cult. It's this forced downplaying of the abuse and exploitation that we all know and we all see that goes on across multi-level marketing. Wow, this was only 2 years ago too.
I believe that the comparison was wrong.
He believes that the comparison was wrong to the unnamed multi-level marketing company. And let's hear why he thinks that comparison was wrong from this cult expert.
And it was bad. How do I best describe it?
It's because you're lying, because you're a cult apologist. And I don't have the language else to describe you what you're doing right now, because it's extremely concerning. But it's very easy for me to see as an MLM survivor, as a cult survivor, and as an activist to see that you don't know what you're talking about. And now more and more people are going to see it too. Do better.
They were involved in bad practices in the workplace. At least that particular network.
Were they involved in creating strategic initiatives to maximize profits too? Let's get vague. Let's get vague together.
And for me, there's a big difference between some inappropriate business practices and what cults are doing.
And what would those be? I would love to hear him outline what the difference between the bad practices of this unnamed multi-level marketing company and a cult. He doesn't, because he just sat down with a CEO and a president, probably, and they listened to him. And they just offered some like massaging of truth. And he just collected a paycheck. And he likes to call himself a cult expert. You're not helping people, you're hurting people. Shame on you.
There was a lot of rah, rah, rah at the meetings before you even knew what was going on. Oh, you've got to praise this and clap. He's just come on. Oh, yeah, this isn't. What's going on here? And
so are you describing a large group awareness training, an annual convention? Are you describing a weekly meeting that was held by this still yet unnamed multi-level marketing company? Are you describing edification, which people even outside of multi-level marketing are familiar with that term because cults redefine words? You know that, right? As a cult expert, where people are jacking up the person that's going to come on stage. That's what we call edification in multi-level marketing. As an expert in cults, you should know that before you pass judgment saying, well, you know what? There's some bad practices, but it's not a cult, really. Rah, rah, rah. Because in cults, that's a requirement. There's nothing about coercion, coercive control, behavior, information, thought, emotional control. It's just rah, rah, rah. I saw a little bit of rah, 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 but it's just bad practices, you guys.
There were quite often claims made about the kind of income you could make that were not realistic at all. Mm-hmm. But I never, ever saw what I would constitute as mind control.
He never, ever saw what would constitute mind control. And what did you see? How did you go about trying to see the mind control? What was your investigation? What did it look like as a cult expert? How many survivors did you speak to? Did you just look at data that was collected by the company? Did you just listen to your friend who said, come and talk to them? They'll really listen to you. And you were so surprised that they listened to you. Who were these people you talked to? Were they top distributors? Were people at the top of the pyramid making a lot of money? You didn't see what you think is mind control, so therefore it doesn't exist. Just like if you don't see the abuse, it doesn't exist. You just described what appeared to be some kind of event, whether it was like a large group awareness training or a meeting where there is those signs of behavior control. Is mind control? I don't know. You mean you quote Stephen Hassett on your own website because you're this cult expert. Maybe you should bone up on your own cult education.
On the other hand, I believe you're completely right, because there are MLMs out there that are operating as cults.
And there we go. I wouldn't be surprised if he worked for Amway, honestly. This is exactly what every multi-level marketing company says. Our company is different. Our company is the unicorn company. That's what Bravenly says. And then I think Happy Company, they said their product was a unicorn product. I know when I was with Monate, Rejuvenique oil was the unicorn oil. It's always the unicorn. There's multi-level marketing companies out there, you guys, that are cults. But I mean, we're the good one. The one that I consulted for, I mean, there was some rah, rah, rah. I didn't know what was going on, but I didn't see anything that was mind control in my whole, year and a half long investigation into this company and how I looked at different people's accounts and I spoke with survivors. I came to the conclusion that it's just other multi-level marketing companies. This is a cult expert. We got to watch out for this, This is unbelievable. This is shocking that this happened 2 years ago.
So it's a case of which MLM are we talking about?
We're talking about all MLMs. So to be clear, Ian, I invite you to actually take in anti-MLM content and maybe perhaps listen to more survivors and to explain the endless chain business model. The only way these things function is to do mind control, because otherwise people would see through the scam. This is basic. This is cult 101. I've only been out for a year and a half. You've supposedly been at this since 1979. There is no excuse for this.
And so, yes, some of them will get into the whole sphere of using full-blown mind control. Others, bad business practices.
Others have bad business practices. It's like he almost works for the FTC making the apology. It's like the FTC, well, there are some legitimate multi-level marketing companies out there. We can't name any of them because all of them are pyramid schemes. This is really disturbing.
Okay. Well, to wrap up, I have one.
That's what I wanted to show you. So to sum up, when we leave a cult, we cannot trust people that call themselves experts. We need to exercise critical thinking, and we have to listen to ourselves, our instincts. We need to have discernment, and we have to learn how to trust ourselves again. We can also ask questions, and we can talk with other people, and we can point out things that are wrong. Things like this guy calling himself a cult expert. This is not okay. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.